Everyone, thanks so much for coming back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and are having a flare-free day. In today's video, I wanted to dive into my personal experience on Vizan, which is the common brand name for Dienogest, which is an oral progestin dominant pill that is used in the management of pain that is associated with endometriosis. I do want to state before jumping into my personal experience that I am not a medical practitioner. I am not a doctor. I'm speaking on behalf of my own experiences with Vizan. I also want to state that Vizan is often prescribed to help with the pain management of endometriosis pain, but again, it is not a cure pill for endometriosis itself. I also want to state that some individuals have had amazing, wonderful experiences on Vizan, also known as Dienogest. They have had their livelihoods back, their pain levels have really subdued, so they're able to do the things that they want to do. And I don't want to scare you off from trying Vizan if your doctor is prescribing it to you, because it may work for you and it may not. And that was my experience. It was not a good fit for myself and my body. And just like everyone's body, we are all unique and beautiful, and that sometimes translates to, having a medication that doesn't necessarily work for us, but it may work for somebody else. So I want to also preface this video that I don't want to necessarily scare you away, but I do want to provide an honest experience. I would want someone to outline their experience on something that is being prescribed so that I can kind of get a feel of what to look out for, or things that may be similar in your journey that you're experiencing and you're just not know if they're related or not. So I do want to come and just say this is my own personal experience with Vizan, and I'm not a medical doctor. It's just from my personal experiences of what I have seen. I experienced endometriosis pain for the last 14-15 years. My journey didn't really pick up until the last couple of years. I have been looking for pain management options to help me live my life with endometriosis. Knowing that there is no cure for endometriosis, I was under the impression that, there are medications on the market that could help reduce the levels of pain that I was experiencing with my endometriosis flare-ups happening in and outside of my period. So I spoke with my endometriosis specialist while waiting for excision surgery wait lists to reduce. And they had outlined that there was a pill on the market known as Vizan, or also known as Dienogest, which is a progesterone dominant pill. So the idea behind this pill was that I would take this little white pill every single day at the same time for 3 to 6 consecutive months. I was going to be on a trial basis to see how the medication reacted with my body and my pain levels with endo. I was happy to do this and to test it out, because at this stage I was looking for something that would really help with my pain levels with endo while waiting for surgery wait lists to decrease. So again, I was put on a trial basis. Now, I was provided this prescription, and I have 2 doctors at this point. I have an endo specialist and I also have my family doctor. And I was reading through the symptoms and the side effects of Vizan, and I became a little concerned with the idea that one of the side effects was, extreme depression and anxiety and intrusive thoughts. Now, in my past, I have suffered with anxiety and depression, not to an extent where I, was ever concerned for my own safety, but, there were seasons of depression that I had experienced in my past. And so I had contacted my family doctor, and had outlined, the endo specialist has provided Vizan as an option for pain management while waiting for surgery. And I have come across my concerns about one of the side effects, which is, the mental health aspects. And to be honest, the response from the doctor was not what I had expected. The response back was basically, individuals feel actually happier because on Vizan, because they're not in physical pain, so they feel happier. And that didn't really sit well with me, and I do want to outline that I do have a different doctor now. There has been a lot of red flags with that doctor, and that is not a positive response, knowing the history of mental health concerns. From my personal experience, it was not helpful to hear that. So getting off of that phone call, I said, well, my family doctor is somewhat on board. They say I'm going to be happier because I'm not going to be in physical pain. And, my endo specialist, they said it would be a trial period. So they're on board if I want to discontinue use if I do experience side effects that I'm concerned with. So the first 4 weeks, I took the pill every single day at the same time. I felt positive physical changes. I remember lying in my bed at home, and it was the 4th week of taking the pill, and my stomach fully relaxed. It's as if, like, if you try and clench your abs right now, that's kind of how I always have my stomach, because I'm scared of a flare-up coming. I'm always like holding tightness in my lower abdomen. And so I was just lying in bed and I felt it just completely relax. And I thought, is this what people feel? Is this like they're just walking around with their bellies out, just like living life? They're not in pain. They're not like having tightness. And that was the first symptom I experienced on Vizan that I was like, this is amazing. Like, if this is the rest of time, like I can do this. I can definitely do this. And that was the first positive symptom that I've experienced on Vizan. I did notice also in the first 4 weeks a lot of insomnia, so very difficult to fall asleep. If you know me, I'm a very good sleeper, but I noticed it was very difficult to start falling asleep. I had a bit of tingling feeling around my body. I felt like a buzzing sensation before going to bed. And my mind was racing. I was always kind of having thoughts, not intrusive or depressive or anxious thoughts. It was just like my brain was just going nonstop. So that was something that I noticed and didn't necessarily associate with Vizan at first, but now knowing my I guess continuous journey with it over time, it was a first symptom to be aware of. I did also notice hair loss. Found that it was a lot of hair coming out, and I became very anxious about that. So it was the first 3 things were tummy relaxing, which was a good thing, insomnia, and the hair loss. I just didn't know if it was related to stress outside of the pill or if it was caused by Vizan. But I started jotting down my symptoms that I was experiencing, because you know your body best. And I want to state this because you've come this far in your journey because you listen to your body and you listen to the signs and warnings that it's provided you. You've lived with your body and know your body better than anybody. So you know when there are slight changes to yourself and your rhythm and your routine. And that's when I highly suggest you take out your journal and you jot down little things that are changing in your journey, especially with new medication. Your symptoms may be different on Vizan, or you may not have any symptoms at all or side effects, but this was something that I began to notice that was different than my normal body routine. After about 6 to 7 weeks, I then began to notice more extreme changes with my mental health on this Vizan progesterone dominant pill. I do want to also outline that I was living during a global pandemic at the start of the pill. So I wasn't sure if the global pandemic was impacting my mental state, which I'm sure it was. But at the same time, I had never had these types of thoughts being very intrusive, depressive, anxious. And that was at the 7 to 8 week mark on Vizan. I became very nervous about these thoughts. I would be sitting at home and it would just be very intrusive, and I would never think that way normally. I had never come to the stage in my life where I was thinking depressive thoughts to the point where I didn't feel like myself or didn't feel like life was happy or worth living. And that was a very scary experience to go through. So I didn't really have to say much. My family knew that something was extremely wrong. I would be crying at the drop of a hat. I'd be very sluggish and low and very not chatty, very just mellow and low and kind of out of it. Like, my family noticed that something was extremely wrong, and I was very open with the fact that I'm experiencing intrusive thoughts that are not healthy. They're not healthy, and I'm scared, to be honest. I was very scared at that point in my journey. I didn't necessarily write this down, but it was coming to the forefront in my daily life, and it was impacting my positivity, my mood, and my ability to function. So I decided that I wanted to get off of Vizan, or at least talk to the endo specialist. And so I called the specialists. office that evening around 7:30 p.m. and I knew that they wouldn't be in, but I wanted to make sure that in the morning they were aware that I had called and was scared about the mental side effects that were caused, or I thought were being caused, by Vizan. And 8 p.m. that same day, so I didn't even know that they were working still, but 8 p.m. that night, I got a call and immediately said, get off of it. Get off of it immediately. Get off of it immediately. It's not worth it. And their response was a relief in that instance, because when you have that support from your doctor, it makes it easier to make that decision. And so they said sometimes there are extreme side effects that we've talked about regarding Vizan, and some of those include anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And so she had outlined that I was one of the individuals that may be suffering from these side effects caused by Vizan, and that I should get off of it, so stopping immediately. And basically when I stopped immediately, we would monitor how my mental health was going. So if it got better, then we can kind of associate it with Vizan, and if it was remaining the same, then it was something to be looked at further. And again, she had outlined a counselor for me to see, so a therapist, which was an amazing support to have when getting off of medication that is causing mental health concerns. So that was amazing on their part to provide. So I got off the medication immediately, and I noticed after a course of time, so it took about 4 weeks to start feeling like myself again. Unfortunately, the physical side effects of endometriosis returned. So my flare-ups returned. I experienced that tightness again in my stomach. I had the same symptoms associated with endo flares, but my mental health was becoming better. And that's when I realized that this medication had really impacted my mental state and my health. And I'm proud that I knew my body well enough to nix it right away before it got worse. I do have the symptoms here of Vizan that I do want to read off. So they say, tell your doctor right away if you have any of these serious side effects. And they include yellowing eyes or skin, which I assume is associated with liver, persistent nausea or vomiting, dark urine, severe stomach or abdominal pain, unusual vaginal bleeding, such as spotting, breakthrough bleeding, prolonged or recurrent bleeding, swelling of hands and ankles, and they say here mental or mood changes such as depression or suicidal thoughts. So since coming off Vizan, I have noticed very positive changes to my mental state, which I'm happy to outline. I do have my days where I am lower or not as energized, but my mental state has never had those intrusive thoughts since. It was a scary time, and I want to outline that you're not alone if you are experiencing those thoughts or are experiencing the same symptoms that you're having on Vizan. Your mental health is as important as your physical health. They both go hand in hand. If you don't have mental health, you don't have physical health. And I felt amazing physically with Vizan. I didn't have my flare-ups as often. I didn't have that pain, but life didn't seem worth living when I didn't have my mental health. And there's nothing worse than feeling not like yourself in your own skin. And I want to outline to you that there are so many supports that are out there, including the endometriosis community and your own doctors, but there are crisis hotlines, there are supports, there are friends and family and support networks that can help you through these hard times. You are not alone, and please do not feel like you are alone or that you are at the end of all resources. Like, there are so many out there that you should be using and utilizing in your hard times to lean on, because they're there for a reason, and you deserve support, and you deserve help, and you are deserving of all of those things, and your mental health needs it and will thank you for it. So please don't feel like you're alone or that you're going through it and you're the only one that's experienced this symptom on Vizan or a similar progesterone dominant pill. A little after getting off of Vizan, I just wrote a letter to my future self and just said, I'm sorry if this decision has impacted you now. I'm sorry if, Vizan could have helped in some other ways of, your livelihood or your life, but know that this version of ourselves needed to survive in order to get to you. And I want to reiterate that the version of yourself now needs to survive with a positive, healthy mental state in order to get to the future you. My experience on Vizan basically may not be the same for you, and I want to reiterate that. You may have an amazing experience on Vizan. It may not cause depressive thoughts or anxious thoughts, or it may not cause any symptoms at all, and you feel wonderful physically while waiting for excision surgery, or you're just wanting to have this pain management option for yourself. I don't want to sway you away if you haven't tried it or are prescribed it, but I do want to provide an honest experience with it. If you are experiencing these symptoms on Vizan, please talk to your medical provider and your doctor about options or concerns that you're having. I would also highly recommend journaling, so taking note of symptoms, big and small, that you're noticing on Vizan. Experiencing the same things, please talk to your doctor and know that there are resources out there that can help support you. Please talk to your doctor before taking any medications or before getting off of any medications, because you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect your body and your health, both physical and mental. But yeah, I really hope this video has helped provide some insight into Vizan. And again, my experience may be a one-off. There are other people that I've read have had wonderful experiences on Vizan, so I do want to outline that as well. This is just my personal experience on it. So I hope you all have a good rest of your week that is flare-free, and know that you're not alone. We're in this journey together.